Thanks for joining us. We're at Seed Consultants headquarters just outside of Washington Courthouse. It's a gorgeous sunny August day, and it's hard to believe that. Bill McDonald joins us, agronomist. Bill, I had 52 degrees this morning, and I don't remember many August with that kind of morning temperature, and the highs still in some cases in the 70s. Is that good for crops?
I don't think it's a bad thing. You know, we could be slowing down the growing degree days a little bit. But I don't know that that's all bad, because with these cooler temperatures, we are conserving more of the moisture that we're getting. As of August, we started getting some rain, so I look for some pretty decent grain fill if we get another rain or two.
Guys have been asking me when we get out at these county fairs that are junior events, and well, they want to talk a little bit, and of course you talk at a distance, and it seems like more like you're yelling at people, because some of them want to talk at 20 feet, not at 6 or 8. But they're saying, where's the garden spots? And my general reaction has been, most counties have a garden spot and a disaster. This year, they're just both in the same county.
Well, the garden spot could be a mile down the road, and the disaster is where you're at. The rains this year, when they say scattered showers, that's exactly what they were this year. They were just scattered. I had one event where I was within a mile of home and the water was running across the road. I got home and I had less than a half a tenth. So that's the way the rain was this year. If you got it, you got it. If you didn't get it, you didn't get it.
All right, let's back up to the beginning of the year, because oftentimes where we are at this point has a lot to do with how we put it in the field. What was spring like, and who did it right and who didn't?
Well, sometimes when you get started really early, that is your best crop. This year it probably wasn't. We had some emergence issues. We had cold, wet soils. It was really good when it went in the ground, but then the monsoons came in, the cold weather came in. We had emergence issues. We've got corn at all different heights, all different maturities, playing catch up. So we're seeing a lot of inconsistencies in ear sizes going across the field. Believe it or not, some of the later planted corn that was planted at a proper depth is a little more consistent going across the field.
Is that what's helping to contribute the kind of yields that we're seeing on our crop tours and from USDA?
Yeah, if you get into the right fields in the right areas, you know, they had more timely rains. We're seeing a lot more consistent ear size, a lot better fill to the tip than we are in some of that stuff that was planted too shallow or planted really early. The only nice thing about the early stuff with the lower populations is those varieties that really flex in the ear length and girth. Actually, weeding a few of those out didn't hurt. Going through that dry period, we didn't have to have quite the water to support all the fodder out there. So those plants survived well, and I've actually seen some varieties with a final stand of 24 to 26,000 that are going to have some tremendous yields just because of the ear flex, and we didn't need as much water for all the foliage out there.
And Dorrance used to tell me a lot of times you can't research disease if you have no disease pressure. So from a seed company, you've got all this variability this year and inconsistency and ear flex. What kind of things are you trying to learn on a year that Mother Nature gives you so much to work with?
Well, our product manager, Matt Hutchinson and I came up with a plan to do some fungicide trials this year. And I was worried about, okay, what kind of results are we going to see from this, Matt? We just don't have any disease pressure out there. And he thought about it a minute and he said, well, look, he said, we don't have a disease. We can see if in a light year if fungicides pay. So we're looking forward to our results from that. I don't know what they're going to be. I do know that I did see a little less disease in what was sprayed at VT, but we got to keep in mind that fungicide is going to last about 14 days. and some of these we sprayed at the end of June. We didn't get it. Guess what? We didn't get a rain till August, and letting these disease, they need moisture to reproduce. So we're just now starting to see the gray leaf spot and northern spike.
For where we are now, still on corn, any concerns from here to harvest other than weather? Because Iowa's already shown us that weather is in control and they can have a good crop and be going the next day. But as you look from here on out, anything to really be concerned about?
Well, there's really nothing that we can do. We've gotten to the point where we're past fungicide. You know, the beans at R4 stage. We're looking at corn that is, you know, at least R4. You know, it's dough, and once you get into the dough stage, you know, a fungicide is not going to very seldom pay for itself. So yes, if we continue to get moisture to get this grain fill that we're wanting, we are going to see more disease coming in, and we're going to see some of these plants appear to senesce earlier because of the disease. But I don't believe that it's going to hurt us as bad, because this corn is far enough along that I think it's going to take care of itself.
As you look at beans, if my observation is correct, they have kind of looked better than corn all year this year.
They have. The beans have handled it very well. I'm very optimistic about the bean yields this year. Most places I've seen it, the beans have gotten nice distance between their nodes. They got a lot of pod set. They appear to be holding their pods pretty well. You know, that's not saying that we can't still abort pods. We still need rain. We still got to fill those pods. Do we want, you know, farmers like to plant BBs and harvest marbles. So we need to get some more rain to get some bigger seed in those pods.
But not uncommon to have somewhat of a dry August at times. How much farther can we go in the year and rain will still be beneficial for the beans?
It's still going to be beneficial, because even late, beans will stay in that R4 stage for a while. They will continue to put on new nodes and new pods. Everybody knows that when we get into that August rain, we get that little bit of extra growth in the top, and we're looking at 1 to 3 bushel bonus just from those late season rains. So this rain is going to continue to help the corn and beans both. We'll put more starch in the corn, and we will put more pods on, more beans on the bean pods.
So until we get more rains, we shouldn't have to worry about too much disease pressure in beans?
The disease, I'm still not seeing much, if any, disease in there. You know, now we're at that stage where I don't know that it's going to matter a whole lot if disease does come in now. We're getting to the point of no return on fungicide.
Corn's a little easier to see at times where the yield is or where your expectations are. Beans are a little harder to figure out. Are there some areas that beans are just struggling, but for the most part, are beans just pretty good everywhere?
Well, I've seen some places where through tank contaminations or various problems, the beans were held back, and they're not developing right. Rain helps forgive a lot of our sins. When we make a mistake in an application, if we have rain, you know, the beans will go ahead and metabolize whatever it is you did to it, and it'll come back out of it. If you didn't kill it, it'll continue to grow and put on pods. They're pretty resilient. Corn's not as resilient as beans, but I think that's where we hurt the most. Is a lot of times anymore, people don't realize what traits they have in beans and what they can do with those traits. We really got to pay close attention to what we're doing. We got to be more mindful of our tank cleanouts and doing a good job of that before we go into a bean field and spray it. If we keep in mind the trait package and what we can do to help that bean be successful, we'll all be more successful.
Well, on that note, we lost the use of dicamba pretty much across the board, not quite, but almost across the board for the coming year. As a seed company, how do you advise growers based on their weed situations? What are you talking to them about in that scenario?
Well, in a lot of our customers, we're mainly talking about the Enlist lineup because we've got several modes of action there. We can spray a glyphosate, we can spray a Liberty, we can spray the Enlist 1, the 2,4-D choline on them, and we can take care of a lot of problems that way. If we plant our beans and we, unless we have a volunteer corn problem, we can go in there with a product like Enlist Duo and take care of everything. Our only issue would be volunteer corn, because a lot of this corn is Roundup and Liberty resistant. So in those cases, we'll need a clethodim type product to control it. But with the E3 lineup, the Enlist, you've got a multitude of options. We can fight those tough weeds like the amaranth species, whether it be water hemp or palmer, and we're seeing them all over Ohio now. So we've got something in our toolbox to fight that. So the future's bright. We vested heavily into the Enlist lineup, so we expect to have a good supply of E3 beans to take care of our customers.
My guest is Bill McDonald. We're at Seed Consultants, where we would normally have an open house. This year, you can call this our virtual version if you like. No, there are not pork chops available. You did not miss a pork chop this year, so keep that in mind. As you get into harvest season, please be safe this year. On behalf of Bill McDonald, Seed Consultants, and the Ohio AgNet, I'm Dale Minyo.